Hey gang, are we tuning in? It's should be about 1 o'clock now. Let me unplug the charger here, making sure the phone was charged up. Hey gang, I'm Todd Nauck. Thanks for tuning into my Periscope broadcast. This time I'm going to be doing watercolors on the Kitty Pryde piece I posted. Hey to you, G Fanboy the First. And we'll just wait for a few more people to come in. And oh, looks like what we got 30. No, those are the 31, 32 people or so. Awesome. Hey, Andrew, welcome. So, welcome to my Periscope broadcast. And, yeah, all right. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome, welcome. Thank you for all the likes. I appreciate all the taps there on the side. Appreciate y'all filling up my account with the hearts there. So, Corpus Christi, Texas, good to hear from you again. Knock, knock. Hey, who's there? Finish that joke. I'd like to see where this goes. Anamudio, good to see you. Great meeting you in Detroit. Appreciate all of y'all coming by, tuning in, and drawing with me. So the piece is already penciled and inked. You probably saw it posted on either my Twitter account, my Art of Todd Nauck Facebook page, or Instagram. So now it's just putting some watercolors down over that line art. So you're in the car watching me? I hope you're not driving while you're watching me. I cannot support driving while using a mobile device. We need to not do too much of that. So please tell me you're in the passenger seat. Please tell me you're in the passenger seat or in the back seat, anywhere other than the driver's seat. I don't want you to get hurt or anyone else to get hurt. So so I appreciate y'all tuning in. And yeah, so got the line artwork done. Oh, your dad is driving. Awesome. Glad to hear that, Andrew. That really makes me happy. And where's the rest of that knock knock joke? Who started the knock knock joke? I wanted to find out how that plays out. Can I come to FresCon next year? Have them invite me out. Let them know you want to see me up there in Fresno, and if it works out with my schedule, I'd love to come visit that area. Now that goes for anywhere in the country. If you've got a convention in your town, in your state, in your part of the world, if you're watching internationally, let your comic book convention planners, directors, promoters know that which artists do you want to see, which artists, writers. They want to know who y'all want to come to see because they want y'all coming to the con. So if I will help bring you to the con, if you'll come to see me or see different writers or artists of all sorts, let them know so they know who to invite. So so please let them know. Just flood them with my name. Get all your friends to tell them, bring Todd Nauck to your city. And if you want to know which cities I will be at this summer that I've already committed to, I've got about 5 or 6 conventions. It's on toddnauck.com. You can see a list of the cons I'm doing. San Diego is next, then Boston, my first time in Boston in late July, early August, July 31st through August 2nd. So if you're in Boston, it's my first time there ever in life. I've never even been to Boston as outside of a convention, so it's my first time to go to the area, so I'm very excited about that. So if you're in Boston, make sure you come visit me. And then La Mole, Mexico City, I'm coming back. It's been 2 years. Thank you for all my Mexican friends who have demanded that La Mole bring me back. They've listened to you. They've invited me back, and me and my wife will be there, and we cannot wait. We're really looking forward to it. And it's Mexican Independence Day, so we're looking forward to experiencing that as well. We're coming in a day or two early to experience Mexican Independence Day. We hear it's a lot of fun. So I got more conventions listed on toddnauck.com, so make sure you swing by there. And subscribe to the RSS feed so that when I post new convention updates, you'll get an email notice and you won't miss out. So, Dragon Con, I'd love to come to Dragon Con. I would love to come to that one. It sounds like a lot of fun. So, oh, hello from the Netherlands. Glad to hear you. Glad to hear you. Glad to hear from you. What time is it there? I don't even know. It's probably late in the night, early morning for you guys. So Las Vegas, not invited yet, at least not to the Amazing Con. So, I'd love to, try that one out as well. Like I said, let them know. And, but enough about this convention stuff. We're here for art. So I'm going to clip into the rig here and, get painting. So, let's see, we'll do a little tippy tap. There we go. As you can see here, I was watching the season finale of Under the Dome Season 2 to get caught up here on the Amazon Prime. So no Under the Dome spoilers, please. I've still got 40 minutes left to this episode. Not 40 minutes, about... Oops, don't mean to turn that back on. Yeah, I got about 20, I'm about halfway through. So, yeah, so here is Kitty Pryde. What paper do I use? I use Strathmore. In fact, I'll even pull out the actual pack of boards so you can see, so you can go to the store and buy it. I use the Strathmore watercolor board here. This is a nice, you know, Bristol board type stock. Has a nice smooth texture to one side, a little bit more of a tooth on the other side. I prefer the smooth. I think it's nicer for the my style of inks. So you can get this at, I got this at Aaron Brothers Framing Stores. They're a Texas company, but we have them out here in California. That's where I'm broadcasting from. So I use this. And I also have a 9x12 size, but this is just a small piece. I was just working on this piece the other morning before going out to Biola University to speak to my friend's comic book class. He's a professor, does a lot of writing and literature, and for his interterm classes, he does a comic book course, 3-week course, and he always invites me out to speak to them. So I was drawing this up that morning, inked them with the Copic multi-liners. I used brown because Kitty's hair, one, is brown. We'll bring it up closer here for you to see. Did her face in brown and the yellow parts of her costume in brown, because they're all kind of a bit of a warm color. And then for like the eyelashes and the black parts of her costume, I used the Pigma Micron markers and a Pentel pocket brush pen to fill in all the blacks. So that got the line art square. Pardon me, I'm still getting over a cough. Kind of caught a cold on the way back from Detroit. I don't know if I caught it at the con, but I think I caught it in the airport on the flight home that Sunday night after the Motor City Comic Con. And by Tuesday, I was full-blown sick, recovered for the most part before I had to leave for Phoenix the following week, but still have been recovering from this cough. So I'm hopefully won't cough too much while painting here. So let me grab my watercolor set. I use a Winsor Newton travel set. Picked this up at that same Aaron Brothers store. Just these little cakes of paint here. You can see the previous colors. I think this was from my Colossus. This is left over from the Colossus Periscope I did. Yes, I'm still on the cough. Yes, the Colossus piece I did about a week and a half ago. It was just before I went out to Phoenix. So yeah, just about a week and a half ago is that Wednesday night before leaving for Phoenix. So hopefully I wasn't patient zero at Phoenix Comic Con and infected everybody. But it had been like a week since I had the Detroit cold. So I think me being infectious had probably passed. So it's just a lingering cough that was just drying out my throat. And then of course the weather in Phoenix is so dry there. I'm sure that probably played a factor in it as well. So I used to paint the Kuretake brush pen. This is one of the smaller sizes, and then here's the more broad brush. As you can see here, the air bubble there. These pens are filled up with water. I squeeze here, come down a reservoir and into the tip of the brush when I take the cap off. Same for this one. My friends at Kuretake were kind enough to send me some of their new products, and they sent me this new pocket brush pen, or water brush pen, I should say. It's a size number 24. I don't know what sizes these are. I've had these for like 4+ years, but pardon me, got a brand new one here, so I'm excited to give this one a try. And that's pretty much it. Those are my supplies, the materials I used. So, I need a scratch piece of paper to test out my colors. When I make up my colors here, I like to test them out on a separate piece of board to make sure that the paint or the color is the shade that I want, especially when it comes to the flesh tones. So yes, I do hope to upload this to YouTube. I'm backlogged on videos I need to upload because these are such large file sizes, because they're almost an hour-long video, though the quality isn't as high quality as I would prefer for my videos, but you know, it's more for posterity. So let's start mixing up some colors here and see what we can get going for Kitty Pryde. So I'm going to squeeze out some water here into my tray, kind of reactivate these shades of reddish brown. So I'll probably go ahead and use what I've started here, which was mostly some red, some different shades of yellow, and some white to get here, but this is definitely far too red. Yeah, it gives much too much of a pink flavor for my taste. So I'm going to grab a little yellow, kind of peach this out a bit, head to the peach town. So again, if you're new to my broadcasts, I try to answer your questions that you post while I draw or paint. but I'm usually focused on the art, so I don't always see your questions. So if I missed your question, please do feel free to repost. So work a little white in here. Might have too much brown in this to start with, so I might have to clean this out and start over. Yeah, because that's still coming out to a shade I don't want. Get more water in here. I like to get my paint. Yeah, it's still too dark. Wrong shade for Kitty Pryde. Let's get a little water in here. Let's see, you're getting to Copics. You have 17. How many do you have? You have 17. You gave it away in in your question right there. How many do I have? I think is probably what you're asking. I have about 130, I would guess. I have about 130 Copic markers. No, I didn't stop using Copic. I still use Copic. In fact, I posted some Copic pieces on my social networks earlier this past week. I just like to play with other art media, I should say. I like to experiment with different things, and watercolor is just a different way to draw. Let's try working some more red back in here. All right, now we're starting to head towards what no, it's still a little too... Should have just titled this Periscope, Todd Mixes Paints. That's all I'm doing. But you know, you gotta take your time to get to that right shade. You gotta get the shade that you want. All right, is that it? Not quite there yet. I should try visiting the Art Institute of Costa Mesa since I'm in Southern California. I spoke there once, gosh, back in the early 2000s. I was on a panel with an animator and another illustrator, and I was representing the world of comics. But I have not been there since. So if you know of who I could contact who would... about coming out and speaking to or visiting, please let me know, or please pass on my information. You can have them find my contact info on toddnauck.com on the About page. All right, is that it? I'm just not finding this shade that I want. But I'm willing to take the time if y'all are willing to hang out with me to get there. You can't rush these things, kids and young adults and old adults, artists of all ages. So you can see here I've made a lot of different color swatches, trying to hone in on that shade. But I think I'm finally getting there. I think this is... Now it's probably... The differences are very subtle, is probably what you're seeing here on the screen. Some are darker, some are more yellowy, orangey, but now I'm kind of getting into the shade that I like. So this here is the one that's really grabbing me. So I think we finally got there. Now I don't want to put a lot of paint on her face. Pretty much that's the only part of her that has skin showing. So so we're just going to focus here on the face first. I always like to start with the face, because if I jack up the face, then just scrap it and start over. I don't want to go through painting the whole body and the hair and everything and then get to the face. And if I jack up the face, then all the other work had been for naught. Face is oftentimes the most important, especially around the eye area as well. So let's drop some color in here. Appreciate y'all's patience. Appreciate y'all hanging out. And I appreciate your questions as well. And I appreciate the likes too. So thanks for tapping that like button there in the right-hand corner. Appreciate that support. Thank you, G Fanboy. Glad you feel the tones are working pretty well. Am I ever coming to the Netherlands? Winlin, I appreciate you asking, Winlin. I'd love to come to the Netherlands. I've never, ever been there. So no plans at the moment, but if you know who is in charge of putting on those conventions, I would be more than happy to come out to visit the Netherlands, or any part of the country or world. So we're just starting off with a light sort of base right here. Am I starting with by focusing on the recessed areas or just the overall tone? Just the overall tone. I'll probably come in here with darker shades to accentuate the cheekbones, shadows under the nose, under the lip, under the eyes here. So I just want to give that a little time to dry. Edmonton Comic Con. I believe that would be Canada. No plans to be there at this time, but would love to come back to Canada. It's been too long since I last visited Canada. I think it's been about, gosh, 2011, I think was the last time I was there for Calgary. I did get an invite to Vancouver, Fan Expo Vancouver, but it was the same weekend as WonderCon in Anaheim, and I'd already committed to WonderCon, so I was not able to make it out to Fan Expo Vancouver. So I almost made it to Canada this year. It's just so many cons, they overlap, and you get like 2 or 3 cons happening the same weekend. That weekend there was WonderCon, Vancouver, and one con, con on the East Coast. I can't remember which one. I think it might have been I can't remember which one it was, but I think there was a third con that weekend. And then just was it last weekend? Yeah, last weekend was Phoenix Comic Con. We had Phoenix, Dallas was that weekend, and Washington D.C. So you hit one con, you can't hit the others because of the overlap there. But it's great that there are so many cons going down in the year. So got a little bit darker shade there, as you can see. So I can put a little bit of start putting a little bit of a kind of a shadow look here, just trying to keep it subtle if I can. A little bit inside the ear there. A little bit under the hair. As I mentioned before in my other videos, mostly watercolor videos, watercolor is a great exercise for me because it's a practice in learning to not overwork a piece. Watercolor, you overwork it, and in my opinion, it becomes a muddied mess and you got to let it do what it wants to do. I'm sorry you have to leave us. CYXODUS, Sixidus, am I pronouncing that right? Hopefully I'll have this video up to watch on Periscope for the next 24 hours, and I'll do my best to post it up on YouTube in the near or not too distant future. So I'm just squeezing some water into the brush, then wiping off the tip there, so I can start up a new color. So, but I appreciate you hanging out with us. Like I say, if you have to take off, pardon me, if my cough annoys you, I feel free. I don't blame you if you don't want to continue to tune in. You can always watch here on the Periscope app for 24 hours. It'll be on the app for 24 hours if I don't forget to let it process. And then hopefully I'll have a copy that I can post to YouTube later on my YouTube channel, which is my name, youtube.com/Todd Nauck, if you're new to my Periscope broadcast. So let's now let's work in some. I like to put a little pink on the nose, sometimes the cheek and on the chin as well. So let's go ahead and tackle that now. So get a subtle shade of pink, and let's try out the new finer tipped Kuretake brush pen. Get some water going into the tip of the pen or the brush there. Is that feeling wet yet? There we go. Let's give this a whirl. Sitel, it's hard to watch while driving from your phone. I hope you are joking. I hope you are joking about that. Please don't be watching and driving. Please stay safe on the roads, people. I really hope that's a joke. All right, I'm not sure if is there something stopping up this water here? What kind of brush am I using? It's the Kuretake brush pens. Not getting the amount of water coming through this brush pen. It's brand new, so there might be a stopper in there that I'm going to need to investigate. So we'll put the new one aside, and I'll come back and figure it out later. Look forward to using that one. So, but this one should have had it prepped and primed before the video, so I apologize for that. Oh, Peyton, I appreciate it. Sixidus. Peyton is much easier for me to say. Some of the handles are so unique and the spellings are so unique, it's hard to know if I'm pronouncing them right. So mixing up a little pink. Sorry, I didn't realize I wasn't on camera screen there. Get some more water going. Really thin out this pink so it's not overly, don't want it to overpower Kitty's face. That would be disappointing. So I'm just going right across the bridge there. Just put a little pink in there. It's subtle, super subtle. Leaving the tip of the nose white for a highlight, and then boom. Let's bring her up closer to the camera so y'all can see how that turned out. So it's just a little bit of pink on there. Just a little bit of pink, creating a triangle there, and it just gives her a little more, puts a little more life, a little more dimension on her face, a little more life in there. You know, get that rosiness going. Probably do the same for the cheeks. Have you ever tried doing a Google Hangout live streams on YouTube? I have. Well, actually, I tried to do that with my phone. Couldn't quite figure it out. I'd love to do that. It'd be great to do a live stream straight from my YouTube channel. I just need to learn how to do that. So still trying to figure that out. As soon as I can figure that out, make it happen. If it's possible for me to make that happen, I will do it and let you guys know when and how to tune in. So I'm going to put a little bit of this same pink right across the cheeks here. Just rosy them up a little bit. I like to let the water pool as it wants. A little bit here on the chin. So I like to put a little bit of pink on the cheeks, the nose, and the chin. We're going to keep it really subtle here. Don't want to. So let's get a zoom in on that, manual zoom. So a little bit of pink there. Oh, Maddie, you bought 4 of the Kuretake brush pens after seeing my videos? That's great to hear, man. Be sure to swing by Kuretake's social networks and let them know. Let them see what you've created with their materials. I'm sure they'll appreciate that. All right, let's get a little bit of brown going and let's make hair happen. So let's slide it over here a little bit, let you see how I put my browns together. Now this is a pretty limited set. I mean, I've only got these, what is that, a dozen colors. So I've got 2 shades of brown here, like a more traditional brown and then a bit of a reddish brown. So I do a combination of color mixing. So we'll use this yellow area to get my brown going. Got a lot of hair, so I'm going to work up a good deal of the paint. Get some good water. There we go. Get some water going on here. Really water this up. Get some of this reddish brown in there. Where did I get my, pardon me, colored multi-liners? You can get them at art supply stores or, you know, like a brick and mortar store in your hood. Make sure you call first to see if they carry them. Or I get a lot of art supplies online. Jerry's Artorama, jetpens.com. Both of those websites are great for art supplies. Let's try this brown out. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to work on a little bit of blue here just to kind of darken it up just a smidge. Don't want it too bright. Yeah, that's more of a Kitty Pryde brown for my tastes. Just get a little more extra water in there. All right, so now we're gonna start cutting in here. Pardon me, cutting in here. Man, I really am disappointed about this. Cough is still bugging me. It's a light one. It's not as heavy as it was, but it's still enough to be a bit annoying. I've had to live with this for the past week. I apologize. Y'all have to deal with it while I broadcast here. But I appreciate y'all's understanding and patience. Oh, you're right. I did get a speck of brown on the paper there. I'll just have to hide that in the what's it called? The background wash. Background wash. So should not keep my tester paper so close to the actual art here. Lesson learned. What paper stock am I using here? Alex, I'm using the Strathmore watercolor, cold pressed watercolor paper. Got it at what's that place called? Aaron Brothers. Aaron Brothers is where I got it. They had a 2-for-1 sale about a week or so ago. So I ran in there and stocked up. Got some of the 6x9 and I got some 9x12. Let's see, Chet says, your kids must love your art. I don't have any kids of my own, but children in general seem to be very, very supportive of my art. It's fun to meet kids at conventions. They you know, when they find out that I used to draw Teen Titans, you know, they'll talk Titans with me, and the little kids, like ages 3 and 4, they will talk like I am personal friends with Robin and Raven and Starfire, and so you know, they'll ask me questions about them as if they are real people that I see, you know, on set or something like that. So really cute. I had this one kid come by my table, watch me draw for a little bit, kind of looks up at me with this kind of like one of those kind of frowning smiles, like when you're like kind of like checking something out. He goes, "You're pretty good." And they turned around and walked off, and it's like, kids say the darndest things. So there we got some hair going. That's my initial base there. I might add a little bit of a darker shade through here once I let this part of the paint dry here. So we'll let you get a little zoom in on there, on Kitty and her hair. Kiraj asks, did I ever create my own comic series? Wildguard? Yes, Wildguard is my creator-owned series. So, pardon me, I have created my own original creator-owned comic book series, and I have more ideas and more ideas of stories I'd like to do, as well as for Wildguard and for other creator-owned type projects. So, hope to get that going at some point here. So let's darken up the brown a little bit, just a little bit more, get a little shadow hair. Might be a little darker than I intended. Get a little more brown kicking in there. That might work. Let's see, have I ever done any panels at conventions? Oh yeah, I've been on a number of convention panels. I enjoy doing panels. It's great to meet comic book fans and hear their questions at the panels. So, spend most of my time in Artist Alley doing my commission sketches, signing comics, but occasionally I do make it over to a panel for certain cons that schedule me to appear on their panels. Let's see, so using the same brown, gonna come in here and drop some brown in the eye. How do I think of a pose for characters? You know, they just kind of, usually I just see it in my mind's eye. You know, I think of how a character would act and move. You know, I just kind of let the movie play in my head, and then I freeze frame it and in my head, and then try to put that down on paper. Sometimes it's real easy to do. Sometimes it's a bit more of a challenge to do. It depends on how I'm feeling, what's going on, and if I can get that pose down on the paper or not. Sometimes I sit there and really work out that sketch, trying to get the so let's give you so the eyes are still drying here, but we'll do a little close up here on Kitty's eyes. So just it's just trial and error, just kind of a process of working out that pose and getting it as close to what I see on my mind's eye down on the paper. So let's reactivate this yellow I used for a previous illustration, since I already got it going there, and start getting some yellow ready for the yellow parts of Kitty's costume. I think someone had said they'd been following me since Bad Rock. Dude, you're a long time supporter of my work, so I appreciate that. Yes, Bad Rock & Company was the first full comic book I did, first full miniseries I did when I broke into the business, when Image Comics was only 2 years old, and Rob Liefeld was looking for new artists for his studio, and I was discovered in one of the talent searches, and I was fresh out of art school in my early 20s, and packed up and moved to California to work in studio for Rob Liefeld, and that was I worked for him for two and a half years, working on a lot of the Extreme Studios comics. So like Bad Rock & Company and New Men were the books that I was most known for, but I also did work on Team Youngblood, Supreme, and who knows what else I did there. I did so much work at that time, but I had a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Made a lot of great friends there in the studio, and it's always great to see them at the at conventions. It's always a kind of like what's it called? A reunion, an Extreme Studios reunion whenever we see each other at conventions. All right, so let's get some yellow going here. Just my initial base coat. Just kind of cut the shapes in here. Seitel, you've never been to art school? Right on. I never had either until I realized back when I had graduated high school, been going to comic book conventions, trying to get my portfolio seen. Actually, was getting my portfolio seen, getting critiques and learning what I needed to work on and fix in my art. So I had a lot of great editors who were kind enough to invest some time in me to look at my portfolio and tell me what I needed to work on. So I always appreciated that. I realized back in the early 90s that it's like, as I was laying on the couch watching MTV, this was back when MTV actually had music videos on their channel, which is pretty much unheard of now, which made MTV, I think it was golden age of MTV, even though MTV had already been around for 10 years prior to that. But anyhow, I was just sitting there watching videos, laying on the couch watching videos, waiting for my shift at the movie theater to come about so I could head out and go to work. I realized an Art Institute of Dallas, or Art Institute commercial came on. I think it was probably for Dallas since it was a regional ad. And it just struck me then. It's like, you know what? I've been trying to break in on sheer talent alone, and I'm taking baby steps, but I need to up my game, and I'm going to go to art school now. I'm ready to go to art school. So made the call and got the info packet, and with my folks, we drove out to Dallas like a week or two later to check out the school and meet the staff, and I knew I was ready at that time, and was able to apply the things I learned there to drawing comics so that I could get my skills progressing further, faster, and it paid off because I broke into comics working for Rob Liefeld 1 year, pretty much graduated December of '92. So it was it was January '94. So just a little over 12 months later, I got hired as a fresh-faced kid right out of art school, a year out of art school. which was really nice. So I felt very fortunate, very blessed to have gotten that opportunity. Packed up and left home and came to California to pursue my dreams. Stepped off the bus in Anaheim, California. Actually, I didn't take a bus. I flew. Rob was kind enough to pay for my flight and move out to California. So I stepped off the plane in Orange County, California, and started my career as a full-time comic book artist. So bizarre. One day I'm living in my parents' house trying to get my art career going. Next thing I know, I'm now working for one of the top guys in the industry who started his own publishing company. Oops, let's move this over here so you can see me paint this hand. So that was a really exciting time. It was very, very wild to be a part of all of that, some of the earlier days of Image Comics, when so many of us were being hired. Like J. Scott Campbell had been hired a few months prior, about 6 months prior, at Jim Lee's Homage Studios, or Wildstorm Studios, and Brett Booth and David Finch were all kind of from the same kind of class from like 1993 through 94. A lot of us came in around that time and hired by different Image Comics studios. And having been a huge New Mutants fan, I was very excited to get to work for Rob. Loved New Mutants. Still love New Mutants. One of my favorite comics growing up. So I appreciate you guys just letting me ramble and walk down memory lane. So I add a little brown there to the yellow just to kind of add a little more warmth and shadow there. Actually, I forgot the little bottom part of her costume here. Get a little more yellow to reactivate. Forgot this part of her costume here. Want to make sure I get it before I run out of the right shade of yellow. Warm that up a little bit so it stays consistent. I'll come in there with a little more brownish yellow. Work some of this brown here into the yellow. Kind of helps warm it up, shadow it up a little bit. Oh, hey, so one of my sketch retweet contest winners has stopped by. Hey, I missed your name there, but I caught you saying that you were the winner of my Spider-Gwen. Wait, is this Afri Jackson? You were Rodimus Dog? Is that it? Rodimus Dog? You were the winner of my, was it Detroit? No, it wasn't Detroit. That was a person who asked for Wonder Woman, Andy. So would it be, I want to say it was WonderCon. Were you the winner of my WonderCon sketch retweet contest? So good to hear from you. I'm pretty sure that's you. Hopefully I'm remembering that right. Oh, you won the Spider-Gwen from my Instagram contest that I had for hitting 50,000 followers on Instagram. That's the Spider-Gwen. I recently did a Spider-Gwen for my sketch retweet contest. The person chose Spider-Gwen, so that's what I was thinking of. But I'd forgotten about my Instagram contest. So it's so good to hear from you. I appreciate you swinging by. So many Spider-Gwen's crazy popular. I usually do end up doing several Spider-Gwen commissions at conventions, and now for prizes as well. She's definitely a hot ticket amongst the fans. So welcome. So glad you're here. So great to hear from you. And thanks for helping me remember which Spider-Gwen it was I had given out as a prize. So if you're new to my work and to my channel, I do quite a few contests on my social networks. So come follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the very least. I do giveaways and contests there. And it's a great way to maybe score a sketch from me if you're one of the lucky randomly chosen winners. I always do my track down my winner through random number generator. So it's always random, always, you know, I don't ever personally pick the winner. So try to keep it as fair as possible, and going random number generator seems to be the way to go. So here's a close-up of the yellows on her costume. So I want to add a little bit more of that shade of yellow through the back side of her glove here, just to tie in with her knuckles. Add a little bit of that through here. So there we go. So Kitty's coming along pretty swimmingly. Let's clean off the brush here and go for another color. And I have no idea how long this video is going to go, so if you'll have to step away, please do remember that you can come back to my channel after this is done and watch it in its entirety here on Periscope for 24 hours after this is done, and then I will be posting it on my YouTube channel, and you can watch it there, hopefully in the not too far future. So let's get our lips colored in here. So we'll get some red going. I don't like to just do a straight up red every time. I like to work some brown in there, really kind of make a nice muted color, just because I think it's a little more subtle for a costume like this. It's if she was glammed up, you know, then maybe I would, you know, like she's going out or something, maybe I'd give her red if it works for her outfit. So I try to keep these things in mind. When you're doing comics, you're not only in charge of directing and the comic, the movie, but you're also in charge of wardrobe, makeup, location. You're a location scout. You do pretty much whatever job it takes to make a movie, you're in charge of that. Lighting, craft services. You guys should come to my craft services when I'm doing a comic book. It is incredible. Cheerios. There's nonstop Cheerios. I make a pretty good pastrami sandwich. And that's about it. That's pretty much oh, and then Tootsie Pops. That's the extent of my craft services. So really, it's actually maybe not as good as what Hollywood offers, but you know, they have a bigger budget. Sometimes I forget to eat, and my wife has to remind me. She's very good like that. So we'll cut in some of this shade of muted pink for Kitty's lips. I want to leave a little bit of a shine there on the bottom lip. So light's coming down, hitting that bottom lip. Get a little darker here on the top lip, just a smidge. All right, let's do a zoom in for that. So there we go. So that will dry as necessary. I want to blend that out just a smidge. All right, then we'll let that dry, and it will cut the shapes as it wants. So while I'm still in Red Town, work on the X buckle. Are there any other artists that use watercolors that influence your watercolor pieces? Yeah, actually some friends of mine. Francis Manipool, I think, does fantastic. Well, mostly it seems to be like it's like ink wash work, but I think there's a bit of watercolor in there as well. I love what he does. What he did on Flash was just so awesome. So I really, that was one of the things that inspired me. And gosh, who else does watercolor? Sarah Richard and Agnes Garboska, they do really fun stuff with watercolor. So yeah, you know, I follow a lot of my friends on the Instagrams, and I love seeing their watercolor stuff, and that inspires me to get my watercolor game going. So let's see, get a nice red here going. Oh yeah, there we go. For her X buckle. And if you're just tuning in and it's your first time to my broadcast, first off, welcome. Thanks for liking the video. I appreciate all those hearts you guys send my way over there on the right hand side of the screen. And if you post a question and I don't answer it, it's probably because I've got my eyes focused on the art here, so feel free to repost your question. Like Mr. Wee's asking here, do you draw every day? Yes, I do. I do draw pretty much every day. There are a few days, you know, occasionally where I don't draw because of whatever else is going on in life, and responsibilities. But I draw every day because I love to draw. I love it so much. I've been doing it all my life. Earliest memories are of drawing, so I draw every day. Let's see, I didn't catch your name, but does the watercolor distort the paper? It can if I use a lot of water. The water will distort the paper, but that's just the nature of watercolor. Paper will distort, but you can always flatten it out under like a heavy book or when you put it in a frame. The distortion isn't noticeable, or from my experience so much. So right now the paper is not distorting too much because I'm not using a lot of water here, but when I come in to do the water, the background wash, that would probably make the paper buckle a little bit. Hey, my pleasure, G fanboy. Glad I could answer your question. Oh, let's see. Wonlin saying there, I am one of your inspirations for drawing. I appreciate that, man. That means a lot. I really appreciate that. I'm glad that what I do either entertains people, inspires people, or just interests people enough to come and look at my art. That really means a lot. I really appreciate all the support from y'all. So thank you, man. Thank you. So let's reactivate this blue section here. Just taking advantage of the colors I've already put down. Oh, hello, Spain. Greetings from Spain, from Adrita? Adrita 5? Glad to have people from Spain watching. Hopefully it's not too late at night for you guys. So I want to create kind of a bluish gray here. So utilizing the colors I do have, let's see, I'm using mostly this shade of blue. Going to work in a little bit of brown to darken it up a little bit. When the blue and brown mix together, if I get them in the right ratios, it makes kind of a shade of gray that I feel works for me. And a little bit of this brighter blue. So heavy on the blue, just a little bit of brown, because there is no black in this set. I have a tube of black over here, but I like practicing with these colors here so that when I go to conventions and I take this with me, that I know what colors to use to make. So I'm a big proponent of experimentation when it comes to your art. I missed some of those last comments there. I apologize, guys. I was so focused on making the shade of gray, I missed those comments. Please feel free to repost if you'd like. Let's get some more water here. My gosh, I apologize for this cough. It's so annoying. Maybe I shouldn't have done a broadcast today. What marker preferences do you prefer other than Copics? When it comes to coloring, I have no other preference other than Copics. Copics are my favorite. They blend fantastically. There is no other marker for me, really, when it comes to that level of coloring with marker. I need to get a new brush pen here. This one's so old that it doesn't want to give me the water. Come on now. Have I ever used acrylic or oil pastel in my art? No, not since I was like in art school, like maybe back at the Art Institute or even in my high school art classes. Since then, no. When I broke into the business, it was all about getting the line art done, and so I never really did experiment on that. I just now once I got into Copics, that inspired me to get back into watercolor as well. So I haven't gone that route with those yet. Have I ever tried making sculptures? Not really. I mean, I did a little bit in high school in my art class, but nothing recent. Just haven't had the time. But I definitely appreciate it. Definitely appreciate what people do with sculpting. I'm sure I could learn some really cool stuff by giving that a try. Sorry. So I think I have enough of my gray paint here to make to cover Kitty's the black portions. I almost said partitions, where I've taken the word part and portion and have merged them into a new word. I do this sometimes. I did this in my last video broadcast, where when my brain gets going too fast and I want to say two synonymous words and I smush them together. So I almost said partitions, which kind of sounds, it sounds a little Irish. I am part Irish, so, I come up with the partitions. So portions, the black portions or black parts of her costume. Let's see, G Fanboy the first, do you ever read manga? And if so, what sort of stuff do you like? I haven't read a lot of manga. I just haven't really had the time to track anything down, so I have not read a lot. The only manga I ever really had was back when I was in high school. In my little tiny East Texas town, I came across a manga book. It was called Gray. I don't know if they still make Gray or if Gray was a big popular book or not, but it's about this dude in this kind of a cyber suit fighting somebody else who was wearing a cyber suit. And that was pretty much all it was. But it really, the art just really, really captured me, and I thought it was really cool. It was like, a random issue, so I don't even know what the story was leading up to it, and never got any issues after it to find out what was the whole story there. But that's, other than that, I have the Star Wars manga, the Star Wars New Hope and Empire Strikes Back that Dark Horse put out. They licensed from Japan and put out back 10 plus years ago. So I have those. Is it hard to determine the light source on each piece that I do? Not too terribly. I just consider pretty much for the most part the light's coming down from this angle here. So just hitting the tops of the heads or different planes of the bodies is for just my kind of rule of thumb for the most part. What advice or inspiration do you use in gosh, I missed the last part of your question. I tuned in too late. Please feel free to repost that. My apologies. So is it easy to determine where the light source is? It just takes a little practice. It takes a little bit of practice to just kind of get used to that. You can look at some photography, some like stark lighting photography, and see how the light sources, how the light creates shadows and where the light hits on the planes of the face or the body. So, and then, or just take a flashlight and shine it on your hand or on your face, and see where the light sources hit, where the light hits, and how things go. Hey, Charles Nesbitt, a big fan, and you picked up a copy of Wild Guard Casting Call. Hilarious. Thank you so much. I appreciate you reading my Creator-Owned series. That means a lot. Thank you very much. Glad you enjoyed it. Hope to do more Wild Guard again. Oh, pardon me. My goodness. Again someday. Oh, wow. We got a lot of questions coming in here. Let's see if I can keep up with one. Let's see. What advice would you give for good storytelling? I missed the last part of that question. So sorry. But for good storytelling, there are lots of how to draw comics books. I grew up on the How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. That's a good one to give you the basics. The Will Eisner stuff is, he is pretty much the grandfather of visual storytelling. Scott McCloud's, what was the name of that book? I have it over here on my bookshelf. Understanding Comics. Understanding Comics is oops, let me get Kitty back into the screen here. Y'all totally missed that arm. Apologize for that. Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics is a great book on the language of comic book art. So you definitely look into that one. And then a lot of it is just, for me, I didn't have these resources aside from How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way as a resource to learn the language of comics. So I actually learned a lot of my language of comics just by immersing myself in comics. You know how you can just throw yourself into an area where you don't speak the language, a little bit, and then you just by being around it, you start to pick it up and learn it over time. I spent my life just trying to talk comics talk the language of drawing comics on the paper by just being in it. So I think that's a part of it. People practice the language they're trying to learn by talking to the people that speak that language. So like when we meet friends from other countries, it's like they want to talk in English so they can practice their English, mainly because I can't talk any other language, unfortunately, but I do want to learn more Spanish. So just the nature of drawing comics on a regular basis, the trial and error of it, I think you're going to learn a lot on storytelling just by by doing it and learning from the process of just trying it. Because I mean, you can look at the comics and see how they do an establishing shot or a group shot. So just that's kind of how I grew up back as a kid in the 80s and early 90s, was just mimicking what I saw. Of course, the critiques from editors helped a lot, so I do have to give credit to that. Critiques from editors really helped me focus on what I needed to work on to reach that next level and hopefully score a job assignment as soon as my skills were at the level they needed to be. So hopefully that answers your question there. Oh, Charles Nesbitt, when can we expect the next sketchbook? I am putting that together right now. It'll be full color, ashcan sized, 40 pages plus a cover. A lot of my Copic material in there, some pencil, some thumbnail stuff, some black and white ink stuff, but a lot of Copic color and some watercolor pieces will be in there. And it should be ready to debut at San Diego Comic-Con. I'll probably offer them for sale on my website, toddnauck.com as well. So it's brand new, and I cannot wait to get those printed up. In fact, I will hopefully get those off to the printer this weekend or early this next week, so I have them ready in time for San Diego. Wait, what? When can you buy these? You can buy these at comic book conventions or toddnauck.com if I'm not going to be at a convention near you. So I'll list those on toddnauck.com as soon as I am able to. So subscribe to my RSS feed at toddnauck.com so you don't miss out, because that's a great way to keep up to date with where I'll be, what projects I'll be working on next, and things, and when my new YouTube videos go up as well. Let's see, how long do I stay on a concept before I start refining and going to the inking stage? You know, it's different for every piece. It's, you know, it's how comfortable do I feel with how much I've put into the sketch and of the pencils, and then knowing what I know about my inking skills, what can I now translate into the final inked lines? So so it varies. I couldn't say any given amount of time for how long I spend on the initial concept or sketch stage. It's however much time it needs or takes. All right, so now that we've got Kitty Pryde pretty much all called up there, let's see, who's my favorite companion on Doctor Who? Well, I'm only up to season 7. I just started season 7. Just finished the second episode. So there was the Asylum of the Daleks was episode 1 of season 7. Episode 2, I can't remember the name of it, but it's the one that, dinosaurs on a spaceship. So that's as far as I've gotten, so please, no Doctor Who spoilers. So from what I've seen from the 9th Doctor up to through most of the 11th Doctor, so I'm only up to Amy Pond as my most recent companion. I like them all. I really like them all, but I'd probably say Catherine Tate as Donna Noble is probably one of my favorites. She is hilarious. I loved her on the U.S. version of The Office, so she was really, really a fun and funny character. But Amy Pond is pretty funny as well. I like her too. And then my wife does a great Rose Tyler cosplay. So those three I like. Martha Jones is cool. I like her too. So you know, I'm still working my way through the series. Pardon me. So now I need to work up a color here for the background. Let's try a warmish sort of background. So I'll work some brown here, see if I can rescue that spot where I accidentally got a test color put in there. So I'm going to use a lot of water and a lot of paint here. So let's put the paint mixing here on screen. Oh, you missed the kitty dragon? Lockheed. Lockheed is the name of her pet dragon. Do you miss Lockheed in the comics, or are you missing it here on this piece that I'm doing? Let's work in some orange here. Oh, here on my drawing. Okay, thank you for clarifying. Wunlin. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Again, those unique handles. Sometimes I'm not always sure if I'm pronouncing them right. All right, so we're working up kind of a brownish, orangish, brownish sort of initial color here. Do I have anything set up for post-Secret Wars Marvel? You know, I am still, talking with my editors. I'm working on some projects for them now, mostly a lot of covers. But as soon as I'm allowed to talk about what projects I'm doing next, that'll be on toddnauck.com and all my social networks. So I appreciate your patience, and hope to have news for y'all as soon as I can say something about what I'm doing next and where to find me next. Who are my influences? Sixidus, what is it? Is it Peyton? Is Peyton your name, Sixidus? I don't even know if I'm pronouncing Sixidus correctly, but who are my influences? My influences, top 4. Now, I'm influenced by a lot of different artists of all sorts, but my top 4 influences that influenced a young Todd Nauck. Let's test out this background color. Let's work a little red in here as well. Oh yeah, I like that very much. Very, very much. My influences, I'm sorry, I got distracted by my paints. My influences, X-Men artists of the 1980s from when I was a kid, my golden age of comics. So that would be Arthur Adams from the X-Men annuals and the Long Shot miniseries. Let's put Kitty back here on screen. Rick Leonardi, who did a lot of work on New Mutants and Uncanny X-Men. Walter Simonson, who did one of my favorite runs in comics with his wife, Louise Simonson, on the X Factor series. I love that. That was just after he finished his run on Thor, but before his run on Fantastic Four. Loved all those runs he did. So Walter Simonson, huge influence. And Alan Davis, who did New Mutants annuals, some fill-in X-Men work, and then did the Excalibur series, which really solidified my love for Nightcrawler and Kitty Pryde. So now we're just using a lot of water and some paint here to do a background wash. So I'm squeezing a lot of water here onto the board as I schmooze some paint around, so that it will pool and dry in places and create hopefully some cool textures. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me. I appreciate all the support, the questions, the likes. It means a lot. Let's see. Get a little more paint up in this quadrant. We'll cut this as a kind of a diagonal the other way, coming across this way. That was risky there. If I had dropped a piece of paint, drop a paint on Kitty, that would have been really disappointed. Shouldn't get so risky with slinging this brush around. Should know better. In fact, I probably shouldn't be crossing over the art to Kitty. Put the paint on the side I need to use it on, just to help minimize snafus. Squeeze some more water onto there. So now I'm using the bigger brush here, so I can get some wider swaths of color. So just drop some paint into these places. Makeup Hits says, you make it look so easy. Thank you, Makeup Hits. You know, it's a lot of practice. It's, and you know, it just comes with a lot of practice. So keep practicing your art, and I appreciate that compliment, big time. Because the more you practice, the more confident you feel in what your skills are, and it starts to look easy. I was watching some X Games at the restaurant I was at last night with my Young Justice inker. The X Games on the TVs behind us, and watching these skateboarders just zip down this enormous ramp, jump, do a kind of on the other side of the ramp, the half pipe, and do a flip and down, and they made it look so easy. But I know if I were to try to step on a skateboard and do that, I would probably die. I would probably snap my neck, break every bone, and and probably skin my knee really bad if I tried to do that. So, but because they are well practiced in their skills, they make it look so easy. It's like, oh, I could just step on a skateboard, put on a helmet, and rock it Tony Hawk style. No, I couldn't. I just am not skilled in that way or practiced in that way. But practice is huge. So keep at it. Keep at it. I can't ever stress that enough. Keep practicing your art, especially the things that are challenging, frustrating, and not easy to do. Those require a lot of focus and to overcome those challenges. It's not always easy. Let's work a little more red in some spots here, just to give a little more color. So I'm just dabbing it in here. Let it dry as it wants. And we're on the tail end of this Kitty Pryde, just over an hour. Really appreciate y'all hanging out with me. I hope y'all have been having fun. Yeah. So just blur this out just a little bit, so it fades. Get a little bit of a fade going. So that's it. We'll just leave Kitty right there at that. That will be the finished Kitty Pryde piece there. Let's see if we can fit as much of that on the camera frame as possible. So there we go.